Hello, everyone. It's me, Angie, and I am back again with a wonderful interview. We're going to be talking with my friend Charlotte, and she lives here with me locally. And I am so excited to sit here and have a conversation with her just to learn her process and how she decided to open up a beautiful salon. It's called Bloom, and it's a very lovely shop. The way that she's fixed it up is so cute, so boho chic. Um, and actually, this woman makes me so proud because she would come by my shop and pick up some soap or whatever she needed, and she would just be in some work clothes. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm working in my shop." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, putting in, I think it was plumbing or a floor or something. And I'm like, "You go, girl. I wish I was like handy like that." So she's done a lot of work in her shop like, on her own. And so that just warms my heart because that's something that I do not have the skill set to do. I probably could get it, but I don't have the rest of my life to figure this out. So welcome, Charlotte. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So tell me a little bit about, so you are a hairstylist or a hair, to say artist,
Yeah,
because I mean, I've seen your work and, people come in, you know, and leaving out like they're glam and ready to walk the red carpet. So you're always a transformation for people. I mean, sometimes it's outwardly, right? But also when you get your hair done, I
hmm
mean, I think when men get a fresh fade too, you
definitely.
you feel like,
hmm
look at me, you know.
Good, you feel good.
So
Yep.
was this something that you always wanted to do, like since you were a kid, or did this progress because you had some type of experience?
Yeah, I was about 12 when I decided I needed to do hair. My mom would take me to the salon, and I just thought the salon atmosphere was so cool, and I loved um, just the community energy between the stylists and just the fun concept of just making somebody look and feel amazing and making their day and giving them the confidence, because that's how the stylist left me, so therefore I wanted to give that too. So I fell in love with the beauty industry at 12 years old, and um, found out shortly after about the program through the high school where you could go part-time to high school, part-time to beauty school. And I ended up doing that. My parents were a little questionable, but I convinced them.
Mhm.
And I ended up graduating from beauty school just a couple months after I graduated from high school. And so I've been licensed since I was 18 years old, and worked in Yakima for a few years, and then moved to Moses Lake when I met my husband, who is from Ephrata. And I've been here now for 14 years.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So that's the beauty about when I was in school many moons ago. We didn't have like those type of vocational programs. I think you had to pretty much choose between FFA or FHA. There wasn't like in these other vocational things. I think it was automotive and shop.
Right.
And so just to know now that that's available for students to be able to take that. And of course, I was in a rural area. That when you got to this more of the cities, they had like more of those types of vocational schools. So that's wonderful, especially for young ones who may be looking at this, listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube, that, man, you really can start your career before you even leave high school and for something that you're super passionate about.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. Definitely. I grew up in Yakima, and I know that there's a similar program here in Moses Lake
Hmm.
Tech.
Yes, yes. So grab hold of those opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your career. So you got to Moses Lake. So you worked for other salons.
Yeah, I did.
Hmm.
So when I originally moved to Moses Lake, I worked at a salon um, with another stylist. It was a small salon with 4 chairs, and I was there for about 3.5 years. Um, Remained friends with that owner, but decided to move on to another salon and worked there for 9 years, where I met you, actually, met you through the stylists I work with. And I made many great relationships and really built a solid excuse me,
Hmm.
clientele and business through those 9 years. And then right before COVID and all of that, I had an opportunity to go back to my original little building and salon where I started out when I first moved to town, because the original owner was looking to sell her equipment and have somebody take over her space. And so hence Bloom was born. So she and I put our heads together and worked out a purchase plan, and I purchased the salon, which when you purchase a salon, you're basically purchasing equipment and products and that kind of thing. And so I took over her space, and for the month of February 2020, my husband and I did a remodel of the space, completely cosmetic remodel, ceiling to floor, all pet fresh paint, all of that. Gave it a whole little fun facelift and made it my own. And yep, I was under the sink that day. I came and talked to you hooking up a new faucet. I remember that.
Yes.
Oh, I came to you all grimy. But
Yeah.
it was fun and really rewarding to make the space our own. My husband did most of it. He's got the skills. I'm just the cleanup crew and the detail work.
Hmm.
But yeah, I opened Bloom by myself. There's 3 chairs at Bloom, but I opened individually, knowing that eventually my chairs would fill. And I had this vision of 3 independent stylists working together under one roof. And it came through COVID, but we'll get back to that. So I opened March of 2020, closed March 16th of 2020 for COVID, and then reopened, what was it? The end of May. And at that time, I had already had another stylist decide to join me. So Kara joined me and we reopened together. And then later in the summer, Abby brought her business to Bloom as well. So now we are a full salon. My salon is small, so there only takes 3 of us to fill it up.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, we're independent stylists. So we're each our own little business under one roof, under one business. And it's been awesome.
That's lovely. And that's the thing that kind of even connected us more, because I had just gotten my studio.
Yeah.
As you can see, my studio, I'm really outgrowing it, but it was like nothing in there to like, like we were both in almost in that same position. Like February, I got my space and you got your space. And because I thought about moving next to you. And so, I mean, now look at us. We made it through the.
We did. It was fun to be growing at the same time and together. And I knew immediately when I decided to open Bloom, I want Liberate and Lather in my business. So you were one of the first people I contacted, and I thought, let's do this.
Yes, that was like our last little a cup of coffee is when we went to Starbucks, and we did a little lineup, and I had all the different scents for you to try. We had a little sampling over coffee. And I think that was the last time I actually popped my my little self in a chair, and like Starbucks was shortly after that. So like,
Yeah,
it was on.
I know, it really was. It really was, but
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah, I know. See, despite some of the things that happen in life, catastrophes and tragedies, I mean, we always find that silver lining to when we look back and look how far we've come.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I've seen some stylists move on. What is it that comes to your mind that makes you decide, okay, I've outgrown this space, this place, this time in my business to be able to move on? So each step of the way, when you went from your first salon to your second, and then what was your thought process behind that?
Well, I feel like for stylists, it's a very individual journey, and we have different specialties and different creativities and passions and different goals for our businesses. And for me, it was always a questioning of, okay, what's my next step? What is my next goal? How do I want to grow? And where do I need to be to grow? And for me, I was always following that path, following the path of growth. And I got to the point, and I absolutely love all of the salons I've ever worked at. I have some amazing relationships and memories and huge growth in each of those. But for my personal business, it would get to the point where to take the next step for my business, I would need to move on. And it was never anything negative or personal. It was just necessary for growth, whether it be the way a business schedules or wanting to carry your own retail and do different things that way and take steps in different directions to move forward. And so sometimes moving forward has to move out of your home, and that can be really scary but necessary. And yeah, so that's how it's always been for me. And I can't speak for everybody individually, but I see that a lot in our industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like that because, for anyone that's looking at this, because, I mean, this works for any sector that you're in, if you're a coach or if you have your own product-based business or you work in a salon, and also just for other women that are into the hair artistry, that, yeah, it comes to a time when like you shift and it's not personal. Sometimes it's just, and I want a person to look at this podcast and feel like if they have that yearning or that desire to move on, to like go ahead and take the leap, because it's not personal, because sometimes it's just like you want to do something a little bit different. If you want to build a business, you really want to learn personal development and learn about yourself, you start a business, you strike out like on your own. You will learn so much about yourself, and you just grow in different ways, versus if you were under someone else's umbrella, they kind of take care of all the back end and you just kind of show up for your shift. If you love that, hey, stay where you're at. But if you really want to grow and develop and move things in a whole different direction, I hope this is encouraging you to reach out and do so. And if you do it and you don't like it in a year, hey, you got the skill set to go back and do something else.
Absolutely.
Another salon.
Mm-hmm. You'll never know unless you take the leap and follow the steps and see for yourself.
Mm-hmm. So inside of your salon, what other services do you offer? Is it just for hair, or do you have any other things going on inside?
I personally specialize in hair, specifically natural looking, low maintenance, lived in hair color. And highlighting, that's my jam. But I do all hair coloring and cutting services. I also offer a little bit of facial waxing for my guests. And then my co-stylists offer cuts, colors, and then a little bit of extensions and then waxing as well. But because our space is so small, we focus in those areas, and we haven't expanded to any of the other nails, skin, anything like that, because we would not fit anymore in our little building.
Yeah. I think it goes with your aesthetic too, because it's very minimal, but down to earth, and very inviting. And I think that when you focus on that one thing and you become a master of the craft, like there will, when it comes, and I like the way you describe that, like natural looking kind of like hair color. So you master that, like there'll be, hey, you got to go 250 miles in order to find this other person that does hair this particular way. So now you like a master of your craft by just really honing in on those few key things that you do.
Right, those things that you're passionate about and better at, honestly. Because I mean, sure, I can do a perm, but it's not my zone of genius. That's for sure. I can do it, and but I don't offer perms anymore. But that's why, because I chose to focus more on where I felt I thrived and I could offer my best self to my clients, and that was in color.
I love that. And so also too, for another person that's in the salon, they have to do all these other things, and you get nervous when you have to like go and do a certain thing and you're like, I don't really like that. So when you go out on your own, you can also strike out and then be able to focus on the things that you're good at, focusing on when you find your zone of genius, you take off.
Exactly.
Yeah, because what you think, when you're in your zone of genius, when someone's always telling you, oh, you should sell that, or oh, you should do this, like constantly, and you think that it's easy for someone else to do it, like, oh no, do it on your own. Oh, you could do that. Then you realize, oh no, another person can't do that. That's my zone of genius. That's why that comes to me so easily, not for everyone else. So I'm so happy for you. So I'm so glad your salon exists here. We are in a small town. I think that we're not so small like it was when I first got here like 20 years ago, but it's growing. But at the same time, it really has a fresh take where it kind of transcends you, like you feel like you're like in like Seattle somewhere or Portland. So when you step into the salon, so that people are also looking for a getaway, even if it's local, and just that whole feel of your salon does that.
Thank you.
So what's the future of Bloom?
Well, we shall see.
Mhm.
We shall see. I really love what we have going on. I feel
Mhm.
like we've got a great team of three, but you never know. Maybe an expansion someday in the future. Um, but it's definitely something that would take a lot of thought, and I would go
Mhm.
into carefully because we
Yeah.
have a really good thing going on, and it's
Yes.
important to nurture that.
Right. And if it's not broke, then why try to tinker with it? It's like, oh, now it's broke.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Bigger is always better, and I want. We have a very intimate feel, and that's sacred to me. I want to
I
definitely.
feel that. Like when I look at your images or I go in there, I'm like, these guys are like a tight family. But you're the type of family like, oh, well, come on in. Come on in, have a seat. You're not like, oh, like who's that?
Oh yeah.
It's not like that. It's like, oh, come on in, pull up a chair. Did you know Kara? Do you know her? Let me introduce you. So it really has that feeling. So you definitely you're on the mark with that. So congratulations. It takes people a long time to really get where they're going when they're market and making that overall feel. So congratulations to you for being able to have that in your business.
Thank you. And I have to give credit to my ladies I work with too.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
and kind-hearted and down to earth and creative geniuses. My word, I'm lucky to work next to them every day, and I learn from
Hmm.
them, and hopefully they learn from me. I mean,
Hmm.
they're really fun to collaborate with.
Yes, I'll have to have Carol in here because her and Don, we go way back to the days of her in Spokane.
Oh my
And she would put me on to go. That's when I sold jewelry. And she
God.
was like, come on down to the salon. And so I'm like, okay, off I went to Spokane.
Oh,
So that is, it's really cool to have created and nourished these type of relationships. So tell me, what do you do for self-care?
um, let's see. I get massages with a local lady, and she's amazing. And I I try to do fun little services, whether it be facials or manicures, pedicures, that kind of thing. We have an amazing salon community, and I love to go visit my fellow beauty professionals and
Mhm.
get pampered myself. And then let's see, I love to just cozy up with a blanket and light one of your candles and read a book and sip some hot tea, especially on a rainy day.
Yes,
So,
but you've had many of those.
oh my gosh, I
So
know.
people do not understand the geography of Washington, which is not to say you're not smart, but I didn't know it until I arrived. I always felt the whole state looked like Seattle, but we actually live on the Columbia Basin side of Columbia Basin inside within Washington State. So the terrain changes, and so we're a high plateau desert. So a lot of the water is majority of the water is irrigated. We do not get a lot of rain. When I first moved here, I mean, you could plan a whole wedding and know for sure no one needs to bring an umbrella. You didn't have to fear rain. And the last week or so, it has dumped rain and it has been feeling very much like Seattle. And which, you go on the passes, Snoqualmie, you drop into Seattle, you're kind of in a rainy, kind of like rainforest, a whole different feel. I mean, you can be in this state and you have all four seasons going from east to west or west to east. Like it's, yeah. So very, lovely state. If you ever get out here to visit, you definitely will be in for a treat.
It really is gorgeous. We have a little of everything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, well, I would like to, before I close us out, I would like to pick a journaling prompt card from our stack. Everyone knows that I like to pick a card and see what journaling prompts on it, and then we'll kind of like say whatever comes to mind. So you don't have to, not an exam or anything. So let's see. Bing! And this one says, up and running. I know you do that early.
Oh, that's a good one.
When I think of up and running, I know you're up and running along with me because I'm up at like 3 in the morning typically, and I see you you come online like 4:35-ish. And
Yep.
I'm like, okay, all right. She's an early bird.
Up and running. I always get my little Clubhouse notification and Leah is speaking. Like, good morning. Yeah,
Oh,
both up and running early. That's a good one for us.
we both are up and runners. I mean, I wish I could physically get out there and do that, but I'll do that in my mind and in my productivity. Um, I wanted to say about that. You said you get the Clubhouse notification. I just want to tell people, see, sometimes you may not be able to show up in every spot that your friend is in, but the fact that when they find out that they see your notifications, because most people turn notifications off of Clubhouse, and they see that you're doing things and then they are supporting you within their minds, and know that you're out doing great things. And they know enough that if they don't see you out, something's wrong to come in and check. And so I really appreciate that on the receiving end. And also to remember that for myself going forward, when sometimes your friends don't show up for everything, it's because they have their lives happening too, but they're holding space for you in your heart, in their hearts, that you will be successful. So just hearing that just made me think of that, to look at things in a well-rounded way.
Totally.
So thank you, man, for
Yeah.
always supporting me. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much for coming and just sharing your story. I hope this is helpful for anyone that's wanting to start a business, wanting to make a shift or a change. If you live locally, a lot of us now, we do a lot of things online, but it's also nice to reach out to your local friends to see what they're doing in their businesses and to pull them a little bit online a little bit too, because this can be far reaching for their businesses as well. So I really thank you kindly for coming out and joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to chat with
Yeah,
you.
thank you. So really quickly before we go, I do want people to be able to, just even for imagery, if you don't even live in Washington State and you just want like cool ideas and just see the beautiful work that Charlotte is doing, can you tell them how they can contact you or get like at least follow you on social?
Yes. On Instagram, I am Charlotte B_hair. That is my professional Instagram. And then the salon is also on Instagram at Bloom Salon Collective.
Okay, so yeah, be sure to follow her. And if you're happening to come this way, maybe you can get in and get your hair done, just making an appointment in advance. Yeah, 'cause this woman is booked up. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.